Hello, my name is Jordy Izzard. I'm Senior Associate Director of SAIS Alumni Relations, and I have the pleasure today of being here interviewing Jill McGovern, who's a member of the Hopkins-Nanjing Center Council, the SAIS Europe Advisory Board, and the SAIS Washington, D.C. Board of Advisors. And today's date is August 13th, 2015, and again, it's our pleasure to have you, and we're going to have a bit of a conversation today. So let's start with maybe what originally brought you into a relationship with SAIS.
Well, it's a long path that started in 1981. I had the wonderful opportunity to receive a fellowship. There was a postdoctoral fellowship that allowed me to have essentially an internship at Johns Hopkins University in the Office of the President. This was 1981, and several weeks after I arrived on the Homewood campus, the president, Stephen Muller, left for 3 weeks in China and was planning the very first beginnings of the Hopkins-Nanjing Center, which will now celebrate its 30th anniversary in 2016. But in 1981, there was just early discussion that accelerated when Steve was in China, and the agreement was signed with Nanjing University to begin this effort. So that was my first introduction to what would be part of SAIS. And in that year that I spent in the internship, I had the opportunity to learn more about all of the academic divisions of the university, but particularly SAIS, because Steve was someone who had benefited from education on both sides of the Atlantic and understood the mission of SAIS particularly well, its focus on international studies. So that 1981, and I continued working at Johns Hopkins for the next 10 years, and during that time became very much aware of the work of SAIS, the Bologna Center, now SAIS Europe, the beginnings of the Hopkins-Nanjing Center as it was launched in 1986, and of course the overall mission of the school itself. After I left Johns Hopkins, I took a position with the Merrill Foundation. I was the first chief executive officer of an organization that works with patients who need treatment for some of the blood diseases, and the treatment is through a marrow or blood stem cell transplant. And that was something I headed for 15 years, and then came back into the Hopkins family when Steve Muller and I were married in the year 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. And so because of his involvement with SAIS, that had been so important to him when he was president between 1972 and 1990, we continued to support SAIS's activities. And
that's great. Let me just take you back a little bit before we get a little bit more into the involvement of SAIS and your relationship today. Tell us a little bit about your career trajectory over the span of time.
Well, I started after I graduated from Northwestern by spending 2 years in the Peace Corps, and that gives you a very interesting perspective on our own country, and gave me my direction, which was in education. I went on to get a master's and a PhD in educational administration.
And where were you in the Peace Corps?
I was on a very, very teeny tiny island in the Western Pacific, in the Ulithi Atoll, an island called Mogmog, and so small that when everybody was at home, there were 120 people. So it was a very interesting experience to be teaching English as a second language in that environment, and have the perspective of being in this dot in the ocean and looking back at our own country and around the world in very tumultuous times for our own country. We had that presence in Vietnam, and things were very much in a mode of change in the late 60s and early 70s. So I continued in higher education. I was chairman of the education department at the College of Charleston, and that's when I had the opportunity for this postdoctoral fellowship that brought me to Johns Hopkins. And here I've stayed for all these years. And my work in higher education and then subsequently at the Merrill Foundation has served me well as I've been involved with the SAIS boards that you mentioned, because the focus there is always on building support, whether it's financial or visibility for an organization. This is something I've been involved with for a long time and have tried to help in my roles on these boards to do that.
That's terrific. Well, tell us, actually, we're excited to hear a little bit more about your involvement. Which one did you hop onto first? How has that all evolved for you? And tell us independently, what kinds of things you've been doing.
Well, the organization that I've been most involved with really since the beginning is the Hopkins-Nanjing Center, because I was present in those 10 years when all the planning was being done and had the opportunity to go for the opening in 1986 and return with Steve in 2007 for the 20th anniversary and to see the expansion of this campus in Nanjing and the success of the program there. So I would say I've been involved with the Hopkins-Nanjing Center from the beginning, first on the inside and some of the planning and activities that were conducted at that time. And subsequently, Steve and I have wanted to support not only the Hopkins-Nanjing Center, but the SAIS Europe and SAIS Washington by providing funding for students who are enrolled by enrolling in the Bologna Center finished a master's for the second year here in Washington. And these are students who have, who when they're here, we have gotten to know. So we feel we have a very nice, close relationship with these students who are now going on to do very exciting things. We've seen them progress over the years. We have one who's part of the German Foreign Service now, has had his first assignment in Pakistan. Another one is involved with the Vienna healthcare system. Very exciting opportunities for which they were prepared here at SAIS.
Mm-hmm. That's terrific. Well, and anything else you want to talk about in terms of your evolution on these boards?
Well, I feel very honored to be on all three of the boards, and
so do we.
Well, thank you. And just at a time when we have the challenges of attracting the very best students and finding the resources for those students as well as faculty to come to SAIS on any one of the three campuses. That's always a challenge for an independent institution like Johns Hopkins. And there are times when we had to find resources when they were scarce, 2008 being an example. Mm-hmm. But yet we still are able to attract the best faculty and students, and being part of the boards who are providing a strategic plan, working with the dean to look at the future, has been very satisfying work.
Mm-hmm. Well, we always want to thank you for all of your involvement. As a person, it's a delight to always have you at all of our events, and it's your generosity and your thoughtfulness that really helps keep this place globally what it is.
Well,
and the students are certainly appreciative as well. So on that note, I wanted to ask you one other question,
mm-hmm.
which is, in thinking about students over the years and where they are today, what advice might you have for a current student at SAIS or HNC today?
I would suggest that they remain open to all kinds of possibilities. The world today offers opportunities across the board in the corporate sector and private, the not-for-profit world, and one should consider all those things before making a decision about whether going to law school or even coming to SAIS. Having an opportunity to work for a year or two before coming, it would enhance the experience for the student as well as the school to have someone who has that kind of experience. Reaching out and connecting with as many people as possible is just a very broadening experience. And I think the students here have that spirit of adventure that is very important. I know just knowing the resumes of the students we've sponsored, they have studied and worked and probably played all around the world. Asia, South Africa, say nothing of Europe and the U.S. And they're open to all these new experiences and to thinking that maybe they might start doing one thing and then they'll have an opportunity to do something else that will perhaps give them their career, or they'll have several careers. I'm sure that in their lifetime they'll have more than one career. Mm-hmm. And the SAIS preparation is something that will serve them well because it prepares them to seek solutions to problems. And it doesn't matter what field those problems are in.
Well, thank you very much. We always appreciate your time, and
thank you.
Always a pleasure to connect with you.
Thank you.